Hello, and thanks very much for tuning in today. Today we're going to be presenting a mini webinar. I'm Logan Guest. I'm our Sales and Marketing Manager, and I'm joined by Irina Kennick.
Hi, so my name is Irina, and I am the Partner Success Manager at Extranet User Manager. So today we'll be showing you how external users can quickly and easily self-register for a training plan in LMS365 using the Extranet User Manager portal. We'll be focusing on a public self-registration, which implies that the registration page is self-discoverable by anonymous users. Here you can choose to allow anyone to register, or you can enforce approvals, which will be managed by a membership manager, or you can enable auto approvals for registrants who meet a certain criteria. Typically, the use case for public self-registration is organizations that want to make their shared resources and training publicly accessible, all while having as little administrative involvement from their end. Example scenarios include prospective clients who want to learn more about the services or product that a business is offering, members of the public who are interested in volunteering but want to learn more about the organization and available roles, people interested in joining an association who need to take training or provide documentation as part of the registration process, and salespeople at a partner company that would like to take product or service training to improve their sales pitch, and finally, an organization that is offering training or resources to the public or to people who meet a certain criteria, such as people working in certain industries or who live in a specific geographic area. So this is an example of an LMS branded self-registration portal. The branding, colors, fields, and types of users are all fully customizable to your organization's identity and needs. These registration portals are built using EUM Portal, which can act as a single landing spot for all your external users. So to understand how EUM works with LMS 365, note that for today's demo, a training plan in LMS 365 is configured to a public group in EUM. This group can be accessed by anyone that registers with their name and email. An administrator refers to a user who is given membership manager privileges in EUM, which means that they are able to add, remove, and edit users to the LMS course associated with the EUM group. So the registration process is as follows. In step 1, a user accesses the registration portal through a public URL. In step 2, a guest user is created in the host organization's underlying Azure AD, and they're added to the appropriate groups that map to the courses or training plans in LMS. Next, the user is prompted to authenticate their email address to complete the login. And then finally, the user is redirected to the member page or LMS 365 content that they've access to. So when signing in, there are a couple of different end user experiences depending on the account that they are using to log in. For users using an existing Microsoft 365 account, the user registers with their Azure AD credentials. Single sign-on will already be enabled if they're signed into this account in their browser, so they will automatically be authenticated and can access the portal or LMS 365. This also works for Microsoft accounts. And then for non-Microsoft 365 accounts, such as personal email, the user will receive a one-time passcode in their email inbox at initial sign-in. The point of the passcode is to verify that they are truly the owner of the email address that they've provided. Lastly, if you have a federation with social accounts such as Facebook or Google in your Azure AD tenant, users will be able to log in with their social accounts as well. This process is as seamless as with Microsoft 365 accounts with single sign-on already enabled. Now we'll take you through a demo that goes through the end user experience of self-registering through an EUM portal.
Thanks, Irina. So now we're going to jump into the demo portion of the mini webinar, which is focusing on self-registering for a publicly available group, and in this case, it's to join a training plan. So what I've done is I've come to the publicly available portal. It's branded to LMS. Again, that would be branded to your own organization, and it's all built on top of EUM portal. I'm going to select Join Training Plan, and again, I haven't signed in at this point. What happens is it actually redirects me to what we call our join page. And the idea with a join page is to give a user context as to what are they actually registering for. In this case, it's a training plan that consists of 4 different courses around how do you actually use LMS 365 as a product. And I've decided as an end user that I want to go ahead and join that group and be enrolled in that training plan. So when I click Join Group, what we do is we redirect that user to our login form. And the reason why we do this is we want to take the thinking out of if they already have an account or they not. Really what we need from them is just their email address, and we're going to point them in the right direction. If I input an email here that doesn't exist in the tenant, we're going to push them down a self-registration path. Maybe by chance I already have an account in the tenant, and instead we're just going to push that user to Microsoft to sign in, validate they own the account they're registering with, and add that group to them. So what I'm going to do here is drop in my Envision IT account because this is the main browser that I tend to use. When I hit continue, we're doing that validation. Now what's happened is in this demo environment, we actually have a bunch of starter templates for our self-registrations. And in this case, maybe you had a portal there was no direct or no self-registration, you'd use the none option, but maybe you have a registration that you're capturing a whole bunch of fields that are dynamic based on the choices that you're making as an end user. We can pick and choose. Ultimately, these are starting templates for us to build your custom self-registration. What I'm going to choose is just the static minimal and drop in my first name and last name as part of that and click register. Now what's happening is my registration's being processed, and behind the scenes there's a couple things. So a guest user is being created in the tenant, and I'm being added to the EUM group that represents that training plan. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to be redirected over to Microsoft to authenticate. And since this is my main browser that I use all the time, I'm already signed in with, now what's happened, since I've already signed in with my Microsoft 365 account in this browser session, Microsoft went through, authenticated me, and came back to our join page. Since there's no approvals on this group, it automatically admits that user in. I receive a nice join page that says, congratulations, you've joined the group. You can now access the group at the link. And when I click that link, it's going to open a new tab in my browser to the LMS training plan. Now what happens as an end user is I'm brought directly into the LMS 365 training plan. The enrollment flows have taken place on the LMS side, so I've gained immediate access to the courses that I need to take as an end user. And just to recap what we've done from start to finish is the user came, they self-registered for an extranet user manager group that was publicly available. That group was tied to this training plan. Once the user filled in the registration form, authenticated against Microsoft, we were shown a join page that showed a success on that enrollment flow. The user received a link directly into this training plan. And the whole idea is to have a really simple end user flow from start to finish, with starting them in our portal and ending them where they need to be directly in LMS 365 on the courses that they need to take as an end user. This wraps up the demo portion of this mini webinar series focusing on public registrations using Extranet User Manager.
So that concludes our mini webinar. If you'd like to try out EUM demo, you can self-register for the link provided at the bottom of the slide. Thank you so much for joining us, and stay tuned for our other webinars focusing on user managers features.